Myself, I've had colleagues who have opted to resign their jobs because they wanted to have children quickly. And then after they've had those children, they've tried to come back at a job market. So you can find women about my age who are just at entry-level positions because to they chose family first, career later. Then women like me who chose career first, you find that we're having children at an older age. But also once I started having children, I recall getting a job in Oman. And at that time, I really needed to leave because of the story I've just told you, the conflict we had at work. And I said I needed to get another job. But the opportunity came in Oman. And then I struggled with that. They even told me you can come for 2 weeks and just test out and see. But I just thought of now disrupting the whole family, relocating my children, them changing schools and that. And I just looked at my life. The other day I was talking about just from my nursery to P7, I went to over 10 different schools. And I kept thinking, do I want my children to go through that? And then in Oman, there were conditions for a woman to be employed, and it was a very senior government position because I had a colleague, we did a PhD with who had got me this job opportunity. Either you are married or I don't know, there's some conditions, and then you find maybe your partner is not willing to sacrifice his job. You know, it's very easy for women to resign their jobs and move with their spouse. But it is rare that men are willing to do that. So I had to choose to settle down for once in my life. I even remember my own father kept telling me that, you know, you're going to become very unreliable, not just your family, but also employees. Because I kept changing jobs, but also I'm not present in my family life. And then I remember when we just put up the home where I live now. There's another job opportunity that came, and because I've lived abroad before, and since sometimes affording an actually comfortable home, the cost and what, and I kept thinking, am I willing to give up my home? Or maybe I should bring in a support system so that my kids remain in a familiar environment and things like that. But I also remember the time in my life when my parents left us with an uncle and his wife. And I felt that maybe the way I was treated is not the way my parents could have treated us. Because you see, these people who come to take care of you sometimes come with their own families. Because either you take your children to their environment or you allow them come into your space. Now, the way they appreciate certain things, even these moments when I travel, maybe for a month or 2 weeks, there are things I allow my children to do. And then every time you talk to them on the phone, they said, oh, uncle did not allow us to do this, uncle did not. And you see, much as maybe it's the right thing to do, maybe my parenting style is different. And my children feel a sense of being oppressed because their mother is not around. Mommy allows us to do this. Why is this one not allowing us to do this? With my children, it's more discursive. You know, when you do that, I don't like it. Or if you don't sleep early, it means this. While other people say, go to bed now. And you know, they keep complaining about those things. Which could be right, but for them, they see it as a source of oppression. So you also affect your children psychologically by not being present in their life. You sacrifice either a better job because it's out of the country, just to be able to try and balance and offer your family what you think they should offer. So I've lost better jobs, better offers, which possibly would be better financially, because I've got to balance what my children want, what's a more stable environment, experiences for those who have relocated with their children, what it has meant, and then trying to come back and reintegrate, because that has happened to me. You possibly had a fairly good job, and then you go away. Now, when you come back to reintegrate, you know, there's a struggle to reintegrate back to your own community. The way you view things are different. Everyone thinks differently. And there's this thing in Uganda that people keep saying, Uzungu Ade, because you're viewing things differently. So they expect you to just come back and it's okay and things are the same, but it's not that easy. You actually struggle. I remember after living in the UK for over 4 years, it was very hard for me to come back home. Not actually, I wanted to come back home, but the way things are in Uganda, that it is so weird that even a simple thing like a sponge for washing dishes, that people will find weird. I would order for them in the UK, and because there are people who salabed, for instance, they would bring things from the UK. And every time like a sibling would travel, they say, what can I bring for you? I always ask for a scoring pad, which looks like something weird and useless. People asking for perfumes and shoes and what, and me, I'm like, bring me a scoring pad, because I've noticed the ones sold in Uganda are fluffy, so you have all these green things remaining in your plates and what, and yet the ones I was using in the UK were okay. So there are weird things like that, like where I fail to adjust. And it was costly for me to have to import certain things, because now that is the standard I want. So weird things like that that I kept doing. So yeah, eventually it took me 3-4 years to be able to actually use things from back home. Like slowly you lower your standards, because that's where that's what you can find back home. So dealing with such challenges, it seems like flimsy, but it is not. Um, then how to deal with family, before you're one big happy family. There used to be this movie I used to like, My Big Spanish Wedding. I don't know if you know it, but it's about the big family. You share everything, you do what, and sometimes when you travel, get certain kind of exposure, you want less of that. You feel it's too crowded. You learn to be more nuclear. I just want me and my children, and nobody appreciates that. So sometimes having to adjust what you want, appreciating family first, as opposed to the more extended family, where one for all, one for, you share everything, and you're like, no, 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 no. I want something different. I've seen something different that I think is better. Yes, dealing with such things.